Hi, this is the Gaming Beast, and this is a reply to Tim from SamwiseRPG. People who are from the RPG Brigade probably know him really well. He's been doing this for a while now. He's been doing some really cool conversation topics. And I wanted to chime in with his video about, recent video about Delegating RPG Authority. And yes, I'm checking my notes on my little Heineken paper. Little, hearing sounds again. But anyway, Delegating RPG Authority. Now, I have some experience with that because when I was DMing mostly GURPS back in high school, or sometimes D&D, a lot of times I wanted to get into the main storyline and the characters. And I'll be honest, a lot of the games I ran were off the cuff. Like, I didn't plan too much locations, NPCs, and adventures, because I did that on the beginning. I had like towns mapped out and storylines and characters, but it never really went my way. Like, people went the complete opposite, and a lot of times we had to get new players because I had one guy in my group, which I will call Durath for this video. You know who I'm, Durath, if you're watching this, you know I'm talking about you. And also his now wife, which I will call Maunlaville, after one of her characters. And so Durath and Maunlaville, they, you know, especially Durath, I met early in college, and when I was looking for an RPG group, I actually had a big old sign looking for RPG group in a fancy fantasy font and shit like that. And I remember only one guy came there, and he was the typical nerd, but he was even nerdy for a nerd. Like, he was the glasses wearing dude, and he says, I only play D&D. And already I was turned off because I really wanted to play GURPS, because I love the idea about GURPS is that you can do anything. You can do fantasy, you can do science fiction, you can do horror, you can do supers, you can mix them all. You can, you know, you can do it simple, you can do it complex, you can modify the rules really easily. It's awesome. And I enjoyed playing GURPS a lot. And but he pointed me to a guy, to Durath, who I met previously, I think very briefly, but I don't know anymore. It has been a while. But I officially met him then, and we hung out, and we basically did our first session. And I remember he DM'd once, I DM'd once, we got to know our styles. You know, he was, you know, very crazy, very out there, stuff I've never experienced that you could do in an RPG. He would help me to be a better DM, you know. And yeah, and it was a okay, just 3 minutes. Okay, and it was a cool time because, you know, he helped me being a better DM, and when I was running a game, and I have multiple players there, you know, I wasn't as experienced as I am now. I'm not saying I'm the best DM ever, but I got a couple of games under my belt, you know. So when I was running a game back then, I would run a lot of them off the cuff. And I had multiple, but I was prepared in the sense that I had multiple generators for names, for characters, for stats, for places, for towns, town names and shit. Not because I wasn't creative, it was just a lot of times college came in the way of me preparing a really good prepared session. Now, I would prepare here and there, like, but especially I like to do storylines, characters, stuff like that. Now, details and rules, with GURPS it went pretty easy, but still there was always stuff that I didn't thought about, you know, and now I think about these things more. And Durath helped me. I delegated RPG Authority to him when he, like, for example, he said, I love doing traps, you know, and I have this great idea for a trap, or I have this great idea for a monster, or I have this great stuff. And he used to work with Wizards of the Coast, like as a beta tester, and you know, he helped, and you know, he gave his thoughts, and he was part of a team that would send him stuff, He would tell them his opinion, because he's been playing role-playing games constantly since he's been 11. So he knew his shit, and he knew his shit honestly better than I did. Because even though I started kind of in that same age, but I had big gaps of not playing. And so he would play even sometimes an NPC. He would make a monster. He would make a trap. Now, the way how it worked out is that, now some people would say, couldn't he use that to his advantage? In a way, he could have easily, but he was always fascinated with making characters that had, in GURPS it was very easy, had distinct advantages, disadvantages. And he would balance, he could make very powerful characters, but with very distinct flaws. Like, he would ask me, can I use these advantages? And I would say, these would be crippling disadvantages, but he used them to his advantage. He was very good as a player, very good as a create DM, as he said. Not so good with storyline, as he even admitted. He could do a dungeon well, and he could do some really crazy stuff, and when he DM'd, it was a treat. Like, he had this entire world between worlds, and it was a very random place, and I don't want to get in too much into detail, but it was some freaky and some crazy shit happened. I remember, if I get into that, this video will never end, so let's just continue. So, giving him that, in a way, after a while, he became this kind of character which I call the Gandalf character. He comes and goes as he pleases. He's very powerful. Sometimes he helps the group, sometimes he hinders the group. But Durath was very good at helping the players to go in a certain direction and manipulate what they would do, and it helped me as a DM, because he would help them decide and go for it, because a lot of the players we had a constant, shift until we had a fixed group, then we had actually 2 girls in the group. One of them, which is Monloville, who became his wife, and another girl who I will call the Pixie Lady, because that's pretty much her personality, or maybe sometimes the Succubus, but we'll not get into that. We were these 4 people, and we were the core group, and then we had other people come and go. Some of them stayed longer, some of them went. It was a weird group. Like, it wasn't a fixed kind of weekly session. Sometimes we would play weekly, sometimes we didn't. Sometimes we just, we were waiting for something. We were outside somewhere in college, just hanging out, and we would just do a role-playing session without any dice, without any paper, just, basic, very storyteller-ish stuff. That's not my favorite, but it was still cool in a way. Okay, so I'm gonna leave that's Durath, and okay, we're already at 8 minutes. I want to keep this one short. Another person I delegated RPG authority to was in the last campaign that I did before this one, which is actually a continuation to the one that I'm doing now, which I call the Daring Dudes of Dunderville. One of the players, Seb, who played a half-orc warrior, he was really good with the rules for 3.5 because I wasn't as familiar, and he helped me with stuff like, he was a rules lawyer, and I actually don't like rules lawyer, and at times I didn't like when he budged in, but he did help me, and when he did, look up a rule, and it was also good, he had some cool, tokens for the virtual tabletop that he would I would say I need goblins, I need zombies, and he would just get them out, and it was cool. Now I'm more prepared and I have a different software, but back then it was cool to have. We played over Inferno, which wasn't my favorite experience. It wasn't bad, but yeah, Fantasy Grounds 2, which I'm using now, is infinitely better. And by the way, the second episode is coming soon, but I have sound issues because accidentally the fraps, my headset is a USB one, and I unplugged it and it switched to the basic microphone, which is the inbuilt one, which is shitty. So my voice is really obnoxiously loud, and the other guy's voices is too quiet. I mean, it's not too quiet. It wouldn't be if I would have recorded with my headset. It's a fuck up, but I still want to use the video, so I have to fix the sound. So this one will be a little bit later, but we haven't recorded the third session yet, so Anyway, let's move on. It's almost 10 minutes. Actually, it's 10 minutes right now. Yeah, and then sometimes one more thing just to end it. I would have some other players play an NPC, especially when there was a female player or multiple female players, because I had that actually for quite a long time, especially in college. And I would delegate them to play a female NPC. Now, people would say, you know, they could have used this to their advantage, but these girls, you know, they weren't Munchkin players. They weren't, you know, they played just because of they wanted to role play, and they enjoyed playing a new character in the middle of that campaign, and it worked just fine, you know. And you know, I know there's people, they want to have a certain tone, they want to have a certain way their game goes. But here's a little tip. As much as you want a game to go as a DM, you have a lot of control, but the game is a combined effort of the DM and the players. The players will also help build the campaign and the storyline and the characters organically. In this way, the DM doesn't have all the control, and that's cool, because in the end the players decide where they want to go. And as a good DM, you will you know, you will be vigilant and attentive in a way. You'll be careful. You'll be wanting to fill their needs and their wants. You know, like, what do they want? What do these players want out of this game? Do they want to role play? Do they want combat? Do they want a little bit of both? Do they want epic storylines? Do they want just having fun, just killing some monsters and throwing jokes? You know, if you can cater to then that's great. Now, you should take some things for you too, you know, because there's a lot of things, and your players will go with it as long as you also give them what they want. Anyway, this is the Gaming Beast, and this video has been, again, way too long, but oh well, may the Death Mug of Doom be with you. And also, check out SamwiseRPGs, check out Tim's YouTube channel. It's here, and yeah, subscribe to him, watch his videos if you're interested into. He's been doing this for a long time, and yeah, I've been inspired to do also. He's been one of the inspirations to do more videos too about role-playing games. And yeah, it's the Gaming Beast, and may the Death Mug of Doom be with you.